Welcome to Staying Aligned. This is the place where, as Christian leaders, we cut through the noise and stay grounded in what actually matters. You're trying to live a life with purpose, make clear decisions, and stay steady in a world that pulls you in 10 directions, and you're in the right place. My name is Chad Nedland, and each episode we're going to look at what is happening in the world around us, in culture, in business, and in everyday life, and bring it back to one simple question. How do I stay aligned with God's calling while everything around me is trying to distract me? This is not about hype. This is not about opinions. It is about clarity, conviction, and walking out your calling with intention. Today, we're going to unpack something a little interesting. Not from fear, not from reaction, but from alignment. So take a deep breath, clear your head, and let's get into it. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping in for the first episode of Staying Alive. I have been struggling over the last few years to figure out the best way to serve you most effectively. And through a lot of prayer and consideration, I've come to the understanding that the best thing that I can do is actually just say, hey, you know what? I've been around for 50 plus years here, and I've learned a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things, but more importantly, I've gone through a lot of things. I've seen more things, experienced more things than probably half the population has, and they think they're an expert on everything. But here's the beauty. I'm not an expert on everything. I've just got some insights that I know are going to help you grow and to be able to move forward more effectively without being distracted by everything that's going on in the world, so that you can stay aligned and work with God in what He's called you to do. We are leaders, and that's what we've been called to do. And it's really hard to lead when we're being led astray by the distractions that the world is offering us. One of the things I've identified in the circle of leaders that I work with and talk with on a daily basis is those that are working in the social media space, whether it be on YouTube and video and communities, or over on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these different platforms, right? Everybody has the same problem right now. The news blows something up. Everybody starts talking about it. Everybody starts to argue my side, your side. And our goal is to lead the people that we have been asked to shepherd over, to watch over, to guide, to lead. And we want to do that most effectively. So we don't want to see them get distracted and pulled into a battle. So we almost feel as those of us that lead, like it is our responsibility to protect them from things that would draw them away from God or draw them away from the core desire or purpose within their life. And I see that as a real pressure, because that weight hits heavy on our shoulders. We know that the people within our audience are watching us, and they're watching us very closely. And this is a burden. It's a burden, and it's a hard burden to bear some days. But the reality is that's not our load to carry. Our burden to carry is to go and work and do what we've been called to do, to lead in the way that we have been called to lead. So one of the things that I've seen is not that we necessarily have to protect the audience that we've been given to lead, but instead we should demonstrate to them how we can lead in our own lives in a godly, integrity-based, honest, authentic way. I know that word is thrown around so much. And in today's world, I mean, who knows what's authentic and what's not, when AI can spit out an image just as fast as a camera can. The reality in most cases is not that we have, hi, how you doing there, Ken? The reality is that we're not forced to lead from a perspective of having to shelter those we lead. We're supposed to lead from a position of knowing where we've been called to go and demonstrating what that looks like in a way that others choose to follow. So rather than being pulled off in these rage bait posts here and there and getting riled up in the comment sections, arguing over things, here's what I recommend. Instead of arguing with people, is to simply be there, encourage them. Encourage them. Whether we agree with their posts or not, be like, wow, I really appreciate your willingness to share that. Thank you for sharing your heart. And you don't have to buy into the conversation. You don't have to move forward as though you have to change someone's mind. They already have an idea of what they believe, right? They have an idea of what they want to present to the world, and that's okay. That is, especially here in America, that's the right for us to express freely, and we want them to be able to express freely. Why? So that they're okay with us actually expressing freely back to them. The beauty of the world that we live in is the fact that we have the opportunity to have open dialogue with people that are not like ourselves. And in so doing, this gives us a better opportunity to not only express what it is that we're saying, right? But to also hear and understand the perspective from which they're speaking. Because we have perception, we have perspective, and we have truth. Okay? The truth is unchanging. The perspective is the angle at which we look at something. It's the direction that we see it. It's everything within our view. And based on what we see and what we hear, then we conceive our own perception of a situation. And if everybody's willing to have an open dialogue, what we can do is share ideas, share perspective, and that builds a mutual respect between the individuals, which allows us to actually go ahead and communicate with one another. Maybe they have something that opens our eyes to something that we haven't seen. Or maybe there's something that we've been called to share with them that they're now willing to hear. And so when we posture ourselves before them, we shouldn't be posturing ourselves as, I'm better than you, I know, you don't know, I'm right, you're wrong. Posture yourself as someone confident in what it is that you understand, right? In what you understand to be true. And then also that you're willing to hear them. What happens is you open up a dialogue of mutual respect. And this mutual respect is actually what opens up the doors so that we can communicate with people, because you can love somebody and completely disagree with everything they have to say. Thank you, Kiani. So good to have you here. I appreciate you. Instead of sticking around and trying to argue with people, take that moment to build a relationship so that you can talk with that person further, whether it be publicly or even in private DMs, email, whatever venue or medium you choose. But to not position yourself as better, but as someone who wants to better understand. All right. So one thing I want you to do, what I want you to do strongly is today, one thing. I want you to go back. I want you to look at your social media. I want you to look at your emails, YouTube, the comments that you make, the direct messages that you exchange, and identify 3 or 4 ways in which maybe you overstepped. Not whether or not you were right or wrong, but where you overstepped to the point where you were starting to close down communication instead of open it up. And then just be aware of that, because, money comes and goes. Money comes and goes. Relationships, they grow, they nourish, and sometimes they die. But awareness can chart your course for a better tomorrow. And I want you to put that in your mind, to be aware. How am I approaching these conversations? Am I just trying to push my perspective, or am I trying to understand what they perceive to be true so that we can have open dialogue and ultimately have more ability to do what we've been called to do as leaders in the world today? So with that, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in for my first live of Staying Aligned. And remember that God has a calling for you. He's called you to do something that no one else can do, for a people that no one else can reach, for a purpose that was decided only for you. Rely on God today, and He will help you do that 100%. Remember, there is beauty, there is grace, and there is greatness within you. I look forward to seeing you, and we'll talk again next time. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.